guys, and welcome back to my learning space. When I started off jazz piano, I remember I had this really bad habit. I would memorize a chord, and then in whatever context of a tune, whatever song, if I had learned a G minor chord, like I would pretty much play it like that in whatever context, and that's a really bad habit that you can get into as a beginner. In order to avoid that, you want to know different kinds of voicings, positions that can assist you in order to voice a song properly. The melody of a song will look different to another song, which means that you might voice that same G minor in a different way. Today I'm going to share with you 3 standard jazz voicings that I absolutely believe are a must. The great, the legends, they play some of these voicings, these standard jazz piano voicings that you must know. So voicing number 1, I'm gonna call it the 9 on top voicing. I'm sure there's a more theoretically correct name to name this. I don't know if there's a name that this voicing is called. Let me know in the comments. Definitely one of the first ones that I learned. I'm going to be showing you these voicings over 2-5-1s. A 2-5-1 progression is the most common progression that you're going to come across in jazz, and a lot of the exercises that you may come across in jazz will come in the form of 2-5-1s. You will certainly see a lot of them over jazz tunes. If, for example, I have a 2-5-1 in the key of A flat, so that would be B flat minor 7, E flat 7, and A flat major 7. The 9 on top voicing would be left hand, you're going to play root and then flat 7 on top. I just want to make a note that this is going to be the most standard thing your left hand is going to play in jazz. Root and 7th is so common, or root and 3rd, and then your right hand is going to do 3rd on top and 5 and 9 on top. So immediately when I hear this voicing, I think jazz. It's quite a common sound, even if you don't know what it is. When you hear it, you're like, what's gonna happen when you move to E flat 7? The only thing that's gonna change is this flat 7. It moves down to G, which is what would be the 3rd of E flat 7, and of course the root note would move to E flat. The right hand, the nice thing is it stays in one position, and chord 1, same structure as chord 2, root 7 3 5 9. So we have examples where this voicing will come into use. If we have Misty, the 2-5 of A flat. Here's this voicing. A tune like Speak Low. Also when we get to the B flat minor. When sunny gets blue. Yes, that first chord, right? That 9 on top voicing works there for that, at least for that chord 2. The nice thing about this voicing is that when you get to the 5 chord, it makes it really easy for you to add tensions. If you take that F, take it down a half step, gives you a nice flat 9 chord for the dominant, right? You can always alter the top one as well. Because this voicing is quite spread out, it gives nice space for inside movement, changing tensions and whatnot. Voicing number 2, I guess we'll call this the 5 on top voicing. This one is not as spread out as this. Here we'll have the 5 on top, so the 9 will come inside. So B flat minor in the bass, flat 3 on top of that, and flat 7 is going to come here with the right hand, then the 9, then 5 on top. I guess you can play it here as well. Let's keep it here. And you're going to take flat 7 exactly as the first voicing actually. The only thing that changes the flat 7 down to 3. That's how you know it's good voice leading, not too much movement. And of course the bass will come down to E flat. And chord 1, same shape as chord 2, root 3, 7, 9, 5. So for example, when I get to that part of a speak low, this one, here we have this voicing. Or in the turnaround of autumn leaves, for example. See, here we have these voicings, 5 on top. The one thing that makes this voicing really special is that it actually allows for triads over dominant chords. Now I guess this might be a little bit more of an advanced technique. Not really, it's good to learn everything in small amounts as you go, you know. By triads, I mean, I could do something like, if I have that, speaking of the turnaround of autumn leaves, right? It's G minor to C7, F minor to B flat 7 to E flat major. The triad that works best of a major 2-5-1 is the triad that exists on the 13, which is of course the 6th degree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 13th from dominant. So if we have G minor to C7, the 13th of C7 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you want to build a triad over that. And when you add the chord tones with that, when I'm here, it takes me to second inversion A triad, which gives me a nice 13 and flat 9. The third voicing is probably the most simple of the first two. I'm going to call it doubling the chord tones. We always taught not to double chord tones, rather substituted for 9 or whatever. But there are instances where doubling of third and 7 with the root in the bass is pretty effective, especially with songs that use the chord tone as the melody, like Autumn Leaves. These are all chord tones, right? Third of C minor, 7 of F7, 3rd of B flat, 7th of E flat. All the things you are does the same thing. And here it's actually really good to double the third. If we have root 7 again in the left hand, super important, we just double the third. These are all chord tones. It actually does the trick. It's not to say that you wouldn't add tensions when you have third in the melody, or when you start to add things like 9, it gets weird. Unless you're gonna move it away, you know. You'd have to be more smarter, but I believe that there are songs that actually require less tensions than, you know, for some reason when we think of jazz, people always just tend to think, oh, what are all the tensions that I can add? And sometimes root 3rd and 7th does the trick. It really just does. know, it's pretty effective. And at the same time, you can also add tensions if you wanted to while doing this. I think you might just have to voice it inside and let that melody sing on top. It's definitely a much cleaner sound. But those chord tones, man, they really are just singing. They really are just shaping the progression, and you should never underestimate voicing like that. And I think it was really important for me to add that, just so you know that voicings don't always have to be complex, and there's a time and place for everything. With these voicings, I have to also add that they are wonderful to use when you are comping a song, whether you're comping for, you know, when you're playing duo, or if you're comping in a band. They also work really well, especially voicing 1 and 2 work really well rootless. You know, if I do, well, here's voicing 1. I'm just gonna stick with all the things you are. I'm letting go of the root here. These are just all of these. These are all these 9 on top, but I'm just not adding bass. I could do the same with the second voicing with the 5 on top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I can mix them up when I'm comping. You can use the 9 on top, 5 on top, and then just plain root that 7. I'm gonna mix them up and see what happens.